city of Nairobi, which has 2.5 to 3 million people, probably half its inhabitants, if not more, live in slum areas. In a small, densely populated space with no proper water, no proper electricity, with high rates of crime, alcoholism, drug use. There is flight to the urban areas and not enough jobs. And so what you have is just a tinderbox again waiting to explode.
I feel like I've been running my whole life. My mother, she was so poor, and then she gave me to my auntie. My auntie, she beat me, she burned me, she called me dog. So I ran away. I married a man who was 27 years old, and I was 12 years. He raped me, he made me stay inside. So I ran away. And I ran to the street. And I stole, and I had to steal. I was pickpocketing and I was stealing. The police beat me because I was stealing, and then they beat me, and then I ran away. I kept running until I found where I can stop. I ran until I found myself.
It started with handstands. I was on a vacation, a safari with my family in 2005. And out of the safari vehicle, I saw a group of acrobats performing and doing handstands. I love going upside down, and when I saw these guys in the middle of the bush going upside down, I totally wanted to join them. So I jumped out of the vehicle and started doing handstands with them and sharing yoga. It was the first moment in my whole trip in Africa where I actually felt connected to the country, to the continent. And in that moment, something clicked, something big happened, my heart opened.
Kenya is right at the precipice of falling into civil war. After the 2007 elections, which were fraudulent, widespread violence broke out amongst various political factions, which also manifested itself on ethnic lines. So you have a country that's very fragile, fraught with tension, with ethnic tension, with corruption, with violence, with impunity. You have state security forces who've been involved in extrajudicial killings. In this environment, you have a country with over 50% youth. And you can either view these youth as an opportunity for the future, or you can actually view them as a threat.
2007 was so much in violence. People were fighting, killing each other. My friend told me she has a lady who could give us 20 shillings to go for a yoga class for paying our bus fare. So I went. At that yoga class is where I met Paige.
When I got back to New York from Kenya, I kept getting these enthusiastic invitations from these acrobats that I met, asking me to come back and teach them yoga. And although my mind was saying no, my heart was saying yes. What I found when I got there, though, was that they all lived in the slums, in these informal settlements, and really lived in abject poverty. And that was totally blew everything I knew about life, just out of the water. The needs were so great. I was surrounded by people who didn't have enough food to eat, didn't even have enough bus money to get to yoga class, but somehow they just kept showing up in droves. Hundreds and hundreds of children, of youth, of young men, young women. They were finding physical health, mental health, connection between each other, reconciliation between tribes. And that's when I decided I wanted to train yoga teachers. Not only could these young people share yoga with their own communities, but then they could get jobs with the middle-class Kenyans, with the upper-class Kenyans. And it was a really viable source of income, really great job creation for these young people.
Inhale, halfway lift up.
I was teaching all over the slums, at orphanages, at different social halls, and I realized that I could not keep it going like that. I needed to train yoga teachers, so I wanted to ask the teacher who trained me how to teach yoga. So I asked Baron.
How it feels, Baron?
Feels good. Africa.
Baron Baptiste is the founder of the Baptiste Power Yoga Institute, and he is a world-famous international yoga teacher. He trains hundreds and thousands of teachers all over the world, but most importantly, he really believes in what we're up to at AYP and that this practice can be taken anywhere around the globe and work. In 2009, Baron came to Kenya to hold a teacher training.
That's good.
And we gathered 60 people from all over Africa, youth, to come learn how to be yoga teachers. And that sounds like it would be really fun. It was in the trenches, out of the box, challenging.
Press the leg back.
The knuckles of your hands.
You don't need a lot of words to say what's true.
These are kids who had never gone to school and they didn't know how to sit still and listen. At one point, Baron even threatened to cancel the training.
This training is not happening. I mean, I will cancel this training. If this is how you guys are going to show up, I will cancel this training.
But really, it was just that Baron demanded more of them than anyone ever had.
I was afraid to Baron because even the training was so tough. He was completely right. We could not want to share what we have, so we were like keeping inside.
And just share like what's going on for you.
I was so scared a lot. Even to share was, I couldn't even share.
But as Baron says, in every breakdown, there's the opportunity for a breakthrough. On the second night, the whole training opened up. Baron shared a story that none of us had ever heard before.
Remember I said a little while ago, I went to school. I didn't tell you really the whole truth there. I got high the first day of 4th grade. And then I got high every day after that. See, where I grew up in the city, in California, there are a lot of gangs. I was at school with my best friend, and they just come running after us. They circle around us. All of a sudden, I just feel my friend, he just drops. And I look down, and my friend's bleeding. They stabbed him, and he died in my hands.
I was shocked, and Baron, he was just like us.
When they heard that, they just opened up. So as the week went on, these kids just started totally transforming.
Raise your arm if you have anger, resentment.
For me, it was so emotional to be able to see these young people that I've been working with for years start to really shine and share.
Mind and soul. You go back.
But the thing about this training is it works.
Bring the upper knee to the chest.
It works if you're coming from Kenya and you're from the slums. It works if you're from New York City. It works if you go train on a beach in Mexico, or it works if you train in Nairobi. The process works, the training works, and the results are incredible.
I was afraid. shy. And I cried a lot. And then I decided to take off my mask. I decided to change.
I think you remember the interview that we did with Yoga Journal?
Yeah.
This is from the biggest yoga magazine in America, probably the biggest yoga magazine in the world.
Wow. Hey, Walter.
After the 2009 training, we all got back to Nairobi lit up. We had 58 people that just wanted to share yoga, and they taught anywhere they could.
And your right hand is up.
They taught in their home areas.
Step a little bit in.
They taught at jails. They taught at orphanages. And they weren't even getting paid for it. So I started having to raise money, that way I could pay them for all these classes they were teaching, because all of a sudden we had so many yoga teachers.
Then go teach at the class.
And Margaret, I didn't even recognize her. She became someone who you didn't notice to someone that you can't ignore.
Reach out, shine with a smile. After the training, I stopped stealing, I stopped lying. And then I become like shining. Inhale, come up. Yeah, I could speak with my voice. It was powerful. I wanted to tell to my community, if I can change, you can change.
So the 2009 training with Baron was the catalyst for a movement.
Reverse warrior. Left hand.
It is a movement of leaders causing leaders, and Baron and I supporting these leaders, causing even more leaders.
Focus at one place.
And we don't even know how far it can go from here.
I think what is debilitating about poverty is not that people live with dirt floors or without water, it's that they live without possibility and they live without hope. So you think, well, what can yoga do in a situation like this? You know, yoga is not just about stretching bodies, it really is also about stretching minds.
We have something that works to heal lives and in turn heal nations. We should be in every country in Africa. This is a model that totally works, that brings healing, empowerment, physical and mental health, and jobs. It creates thousands and thousands of jobs.
I know yoga saved my life. If I can change myself, I can change a million of others. My country needs yoga. I have something to say to every boy and every girl in the slum. To everyone who was lying and stealing. I will say to them, step forward in front of your mat. Inhale, reach up, mountain pose. Exhale, bow down, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high to low push-up. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog, out. Inhale, right leg forward, warrior one. Reach your arms up. And high to low push-up, we go. Inhale, upward facing dog, open up. And exhale, downward facing dog, out. Left side, warrior one. Reach your arms out. High to low push-up, we go. Inhale, upward facing dog. Bow down and say Namaste.